Hello friends, today we're going to go speedy quick through reading number 2 of our Shakespeare. So I'm going to read it very quickly so that you can just get an idea of what's going to happen, and then you will know what each of your characters are doing. I'm also going to give you a little bit of direction since we don't really have time to do a lot of practice or directing. I'm going to kind of give you some direction so you know what your character should be doing for each one. So first of all, this is who we have this week. We're going to have Olivia. Malvolio is her steward who takes care of her household. Mariah is her housemaid, her lady-in-waiting who helps her out. Viola, but remember she's dressed up like a boy called Cesario, who is working for the Duke Orsino. Then we also have Olivia's uncle, Sir Toby Belch, and her uncle's friend, Sir Andrew Aguecheek. And if we get the time, we're hoping that we can see the part that has Sir Andrew and Fess the Jester in it. We're hoping to get there. Okay? So that's what's going on. I'm just going to kind of read all of the parts, but bear in mind that I have your lines all written down for you, and I've already emailed them to you. So let me read some of these sections and sort of explain things as we go. So it won't be very clear because I'm just going to kind of read a chunk and then explain what you should be doing behind me on Friday while I'm reading. Ready? So remember when this last happened, we had a shipwreck and Viola decided that she needed to, what? You need to decide that Viola was turning into a boy so that she could go serve Duke Orsino in his court. David will help me with a few of these things. I'm just going to try to be quick. So she's already turned into a boy and she's working for the Duke. And within the 3 days she's worked for the Duke, Viola has already fallen in love with the Duke. But he sent her over to Olivia's house to try to convince Olivia to fall in love with the Duke. So Olivia was not well pleased when she was told that there was a young man waiting for her at her gate who would not be sent away. Nor was she better pleased when she learned that her uncle, Sir Toby, was with him. Sorry, my dog is making funny noises. Shrewdly, she judged that the sight, smell, and sound of Sir Toby would give no favorable impression. This is where Bennett's going to stand there next to Cesario, and he's going to look fat, and he's going to look kind of belchy and rude. So she did not want Cesario to have that impression from Sir Toby, so she sends her steward, Malvolio, that's Colton, to tell the young man to go away. So, anyway, Sir Malvolio was a very sober person, so Colton is going to look very serious and very sober the whole time. David, please don't be noisy. Okay, before his steps, even the mice grew serious. But even Malvolio could not dissuade. So, in other words, Malvolio is going to be convincing Cesario, please go away, as I'm reading this. He's going to be shaking his finger and telling her to get away. Finally, Olivia, with weary resignation, says, let him approach. And when Malvolio had stalked away out of the room to admit the young Cesario, Olivia bade Mariah, her waiting woman, to fetch her veil. So, Olivia and Mariah are going to put on her veil. Woo! Like so. We'll have something nicer than my kitchen towel. Let's see. And then Viola walks in, and remember, she's a girl, but she's acting like a boy. So when Greta comes in acting like Viola, she's going to walk in with a stride that was too long for her, a look that was too bold for her, and a voice that was too deep for her. And she's going to walk in, and she's going to say, like so, she's going to walk in, imagine, ha, ha, ha. And she's going to look very bold and big, and she's going to say, the honorable lady of the house, which is she? So she's trying to pretend she's a boy. Then, when she had been coldly informed which was the mistress and which was the maid, she begged the one with the veil on to grant an audience alone. Olivia considered the request, although there was an impertinence in the messenger's manner. Remember, Cesario's trying to act like a boy, so she's being kind of impertinent. She had even been impudent at the gate. There was a manly boldness about him, which was far bolder than his master. In other words, he's bolder than Orsino. The lady was curious to know him better, so she dismissed her maid Maria, Charlie will go away, and leaned forward so that her eyes sparkled like stars within her veil. And so Greta and Hazel will look at each other under the veil and then take the veil off. And Viola will say, "Good madam, let me see your face." Stepped outside because she was curious. She wanted to know if Olivia was really more beautiful than she was. Why would Orsino love Olivia so much? Olivia hesitated, and then, not wanting to be thought that she wore a veil because she was plain or ugly, drew it back and smiled a most radiant smile. "It's not well done," she said. In other words, aren't I beautiful? It's excellently done, granted Viola, who was none too pleased to see how beautiful Olivia was. Viola was anxious to make amends for her offense, so she begins to speak with Olivia with all this passion and ardor, and she and Viola are going to have this discussion right here. It's our second memory work, and Viola is going to read out, "If I did love you in my master's flame, with such a suffering, such a deadly life, in your denial I would find no sense. I would not understand it." Olivia says, "Why? What would you?" This is the willow cabin speech. This is a big speech for Greta. "Make me a willow cabin at your gate, and call upon my soul within the house. Write loyal cantons of contemned love, and sing them loud even in the dead of night. Halloo your name to the reverberate hills, and make the babbling gossip of the air cry out, 'Olivia!' Oh, you should not rest between the elements of air and earth, but you should pity me." Olivia then says, "You might do much." That makes her fall in love with Viola. And as this is happening, Olivia asks, "What's your parentage?" The messenger says, "Above my fortunes," somewhat surprised, "I am a gentleman." Olivia sighed and nodded and bade the messenger return to the Duke. "I cannot love him," she said. "Let him send no more." In other words, I don't want to hear from Duke Orsino anymore. Olivia paused, and then she added softly, "Unless, perchance, you come to see me again to tell me how he takes it." In other words, she wants to see Cesario again. She doesn't want to hear anything about the Duke. When the handsome youth Cesario had gone, Olivia gazed after him with bright, shining eyes. Ooh. She summoned her steward, Malvolio. Colton stalks back in again, and she tells him this. "Run after that same peevish messenger," she told him with a calmness that she herself marveled at. "He left this ring behind," and we have a really cool big ring for you. "He left this ring behind. Tell him I'll none of it." When her steward had gone with the ring, she blushed for her lie. She's lying about this. She's trying to find a reason to get Cesario to come back to visit her. The youth had left nothing behind. The ring had been her own ring. The messenger had pleaded his master's cause. In other words, Cesario had pleaded the Duke's cause so well that he was too successful. The Lady Olivia had fallen in love with the messenger, Cesario, and longed for him to come again. And she says, what does she say? Something about the plague. How soon can a plague come over one so soon? So, Malvolio, now he's stalking down the street. His black cloak is flapping out behind him and his stockings are twinkling. And he's chasing after the Duke's messenger, Cesario. And he says, "Were you not, even now, with the Countess Olivia?" And it's so beneath him to even have to talk to Cesario. And when the messenger, Cesario, had confessed as much, he said, "She returns this ring to you." And he's real snotty and snobby about it. And he held out the trinket disdainfully between thumb and finger. Very surprised, Viola disclaims all knowledge of the ring. So, Malvolio just drops it contemptuously in the dirt. And then he turns around and hastens away. He's very stiff, stim, and proper, and goes back to his mistress. Viola, who is Cesario, picks up the ring, stares at it, and then she guesses why Olivia sent this ring to him. And he thinks about it, and she says, "Oh no, the poor lady." Although the sun was shining, the blossoms smiled, and the air was soft, it was a sad world. Because she, Viola, loved Orsino, but Orsino loved Olivia, and now Olivia, it seemed, loved her. She's trapped in a love triangle. That's how far we may get. If we get to add a little more time, I'm hoping that we can keep going if we're quick about this and we do a good job. This is the next section that we will add. That night in Olivia's house, there was another giver who got no return. It was Sir Andrew Aguecheek. He was still... So, what will happen at the end of that last scene is everyone will clear away. I think Viola will be the only one left on the stage. She will clear out. And then Fest and Andrew and Sir Toby Belch will come in, and they'll sit down at a table. I'll have somebody put a table out with candles on it, and they're going to sit down and they're going to have a drink. They were, Sir Andrew's laying out his money for his friend, Sir Toby Belch. They were both drinking, sitting at the table drinking, and they were inclined to be musical. Sir Toby was singing low-voiced, and Sir Andrew was singing high-voiced. And so you guys, Taylor will have to have a high, squeaky voice, and Bennett will have to have a low, manly voice. They sat at a table in a cave of candlelight, and as they breathed, they swayed and tottered as if the very air was tipsy from all of their recollections. Presently they were joined by Festa, Olivia's jester. That's noble. He was an aging jester who earned his keep by roaming the mansion and dispensing faded laughter and sad, sweet songs. All three now leaned together in their withered finery, like a bowl of old mottled fruit. And then Noble asks, "Would you have a love song or a song of good life?" proposed Fest. Sir Toby belches and he says, "A love song, a love song." And Sir Andrew says, I care not for good life." So Festa sang them a love song of such sweet melancholy that they fell silent. And when he finished with the last line, which is, "Then come kiss me, sweet and 20, youth's a stuff will not endure," they sighed, and their eyes grew moist. They remembered what it was like to be young, and so they're feeling sad about that. It was December remembering May. So that shouldn't take very long, but if we can get that far, it will be helpful, because next week, Sir Toby and Sir Andrew and Festa, they will not be sad. They're going to have a raucous, laughing time singing and dancing with Mariah, and it'll be a lot of fun. But this time we want to, if we can get that far, so I'm hoping that we get that far. If not, we will have to stop right before the Sir Andrew part. So I sent along a copy of what I'm going to read so you can take a look at it. Think about how you want to act in the background. Look at your lines, and that should help you understand how you want to kind of act your part. Cesario is going to be acting overly manly, right? Colton, who's Malvolio, is going to be acting overly prim and proper and kind of snobby and snotty, right? Sir Toby Belch is going to be sort of exaggeratingly tipsy. And Sir Andrew Aguecheek is tall and thin and kind of sickly and not very smart. So these are all things you can think about as you go on. Viola and Olivia. Olivia is going to fall in love unexpectedly, and Viola is just trying to do what her master's asking. So keep all that in mind. We'll see you Friday. Bye-bye.